Today we're going to talk about graphing linear equations. The lesson objective for this lesson is that by the end of the lesson, I can graph a linear equation using slope-intercept form. Up until now, we have found the slope and the y-intercept from a table, from a graph, and from an equation. Then we've taken slope and y-intercept and turned those into an equation. And now we're going to talk about what do you do with that equation? Because sometimes you don't have the graph to look at, and what does it mean? So now we're going to talk about how to take that equation and actually make the graph of a line. So let's get right into it. How do I graph a linear equation and what does it mean? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the slope and the y-intercept in the equation. I'm going to mark the slope with orange, and that's 3. That's the steepness of my line. And then I'm going to mark my y-intercept with green. So I found both of those pieces of information. Y equals 3x minus 1. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to plot the point of my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is -1, so I go to my y-axis and I plot the point -1. 0, -1. That's my y-intercept, and that's my starting point. Now I'm going to use the slope to plot other points. Now, here's where this is different. We haven't really talked about how to use the slope. The slope is 3. Remember that slope is rise over run, and that's what you're going to use to plot. When I look at my slope, I know it's 3, which means it goes up 3 and over 1. Now, here's where positive and negative are important. Since my slope is positive, I know that I'm either going to need to go all positive, like 3 up, 1 to the right, or I'm going to need to go all negative because two negatives, a negative divided by a negative makes a positive also. So I'll need to either, so then I'll go down 3 and over left 1. So here's how that works. I start at my y-intercept and I see that I go up 3, so I'm going to count up 3. 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1, and I'm going to plot another point. I can keep going so that I need at least 2 to 3 points to make a straight line. So I'm going to go from the point I just created and go up 3 and over 1 again. 1, 2, 3, over 1. The same way, I can use my two negatives. I'm going to start at my y-intercept and I'm going to go down 3 and to the left 1. And as I'm plotting these points, you'll see that my slope starts from the left-hand corner in the bottom and goes up to the right, and that's a positive slope. So now I've plotted my points, some other points, and now I'm going to connect the points to form a straight line. I would prefer that you use a ruler or a straight edge to create your straight line instead of trying to do it freehand. But if I lay a ruler on my iPad, it'll make it all funky. So I'm going to draw mine freehand, but it will not be pretty. Okay? So then you connect your dots for the straight line. That's how you use slope-intercept form to plot a straight line. Okay, so let's go through another set. We're going to go through those steps. I'll go through them with you, and then I'll let you do a few on your own. So first I need to find the slope, which is 3/5, and the y-intercept, which is +2. I'm going to plot my y-intercept. 1, 2. I go to +2, and on the y-axis, and I make a dot. Sorry, it's hard to do this small dot on the iPad. Okay, now I'm going to use my slope. My slope is rise, change colors. Rise over run, and I see that it's positive, so that means up 3 to the right 5 or down 3 to the left 5. So my rise is 3, my run is 5. Let's plot a few points. So we go up 3 from our y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's a point. And I'm going to go up from that point. 1, 2, 3, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and plot another point. Now I can do the same thing from the y-intercept, and I can go down into the left. So I can create a longer line. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I plot it. And now I can connect my dots as best I can without a ruler. Sorry. Ugh. And there is my line. That's a linear equation, and I'm graphing that linear equation. So what happens if it's just y equals 4? Is there any slope? There is a 0 slope, right? So I have a y-intercept, which is 4. And so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to plot my line. And I know that this is a horizontal line because it crosses the y-axis, but it doesn't have any x in it, so it does not cross the x-axis. So I just draw my horizontal line. Since it's just y equals 4, there's no x coordinates. So this is my line of y equals 4. The same happens when I have x equals something. Now I don't have a y-intercept, but I do have an x-intercept. And my x-intercept is 5. So I go to positive 5 on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I draw a line that doesn't cross y. So it's a vertical line, and my slope is undefined. It never crosses the y-axis. Here's another situation. We have seen equations like this, y equals negative 2x. There is a slope. The slope is negative 2, but is there a y-intercept? Well, believe it or not, there is a y-intercept. We talked about this the other day when we did our starter. The y-intercept is actually 0. So this is a proportional relationship, and the y-intercept is 0. So we're going to put a dot at the 0. Now, what does the slope mean? Rise over run. And the slope is negative 2. And don't forget, you have to put the 1 underneath because you have to make it a fraction. Now, since my slope is negative, it means that I'm going to either go up and to the left because one of my steps has to be negative. Up is positive, left is negative. Or I'm going to go down, which is negative, and to the right, which is positive. One of my steps has to be positive, one has to be negative. So let's try that. I start at my origin where my y crosses, and I go up 2 to the left 1. Down 2 to the right 1. And I can keep going down 2 to the right 1, or up 2 to the left 1. And then I'm going to connect my points. As we practice this, you'll get better at plotting and drawing your lines. Okay, so here's the very last slide. I want you to try it by yourself and then come back and see how you did. All right, so let's see how you did. The slope is 1/2. The y-intercept is positive 3. So the first thing we're going to do is plot the y-intercept. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to plot it right on the y-axis. Now, let's talk about slope. Slope is rise over run, and it is positive. So that means 1 up, 2 over. So let's plot that. 1 up, 2 over. 1 up, 2 over. I can go down and to the left also since it's a positive slope. Down 2, 1 over, down 2, 1 over, and draw my line, and that's my linear equation. Hopefully you understood that. We'll do some more practice in class. Write down any questions you might have.